Welcome, everybody, to this Thoughtful Thursday with Joseph Montgomery here at Raw Revelations. Thank you all for making it out this evening, joining us online, being able to do the live broadcast as well as on the conference line here. So we are here today to talk about how to get your home, your house, and then eventually your life a little cleaner. Not the fact of scrubbing you down and actually doing it that way, but the idea that most people kind of don't understand that their constant handling of their environment is a way that they can be ingesting toxicity, especially just through their skin. We talk a lot about how healthy skin absorbs good nutrients, things like magnesium. You can use it to take in iodine. Even turmeric is something you can actually put through the skin. Your skin does a lot. The wood floor cleaner that you a lot of times use if you have wood floors has a ton of fat soluble nutrients in it. I say nutrients, but really they're anti-nutrients that go in through your feet. They get connected to your socks. Your pets actually are touching them on a routine basis if you have something that's toxic and they're licking their paws and they're having it be absorbed through their feet. So this is definitely something where a lot of people sort of go through the day not really thinking about what they're being exposed to, and it's very critical to kind of round out a healthy lifestyle. When you're drinking clean water, eating organic, very clean, natural foods, and then underneath the sink is a whole barrage of chemicals, you're kind of missing the next point in the connection. Um, so tonight we're going to go through some of the amazing, easy, and simplistic ways. Come on in of actually doing very healthy home cleansers, cleaners, and getting detox products like this back into your lifestyle and seeing everything kind of clean up around you. So there is a handout that'll be available for you. If Michael might have one of those back there, so you can grab one and be able to follow. Um, so we will start with our typical 1 minute meditation and get into the rest of the details and everything from this evening once we kind of go through here. So everybody here has been here at least once. So I think we got the game plan down. No, no. um, so we'll do this nice breathing exercise, 7 seconds long inhalation in, 8 seconds of long exhalation out twice, and then we'll breathe for ourselves just naturally for 30 seconds before we begin the meat of the actual tonight's lecture. So join me, focus on your breath, 7 seconds of inhalation. 8 seconds of exhalation. 7 seconds of inhalation. 8 seconds of exhalation. Very nice. Okay. So while you're breathing, maybe you notice that there's some nice scents in the air today. Essential oils, truthfully, are a great foundation system of medicine that everybody has, at least in some way, probably been exposed to one time or the other. Um, it's unique with essential oils because a lot of what I do more often than not is actually talking about the safety and the precautionary sort of steps for a lot of people, because so many people out there kind of talk about the um, blank MD pad prescription system for essential oils. Use them forever. They're natural. They're healthy. There's no questions about what they can do. Just eat them, put them on your skin, have fun. Who cares? So it's really unique because we want people to kind of understand that in this process of being very clean and healthy, there are precautions to take on yourself that we've lost because our great grandmothers and our grandmothers and the people who knew how to use very simplistic methods for cleaning, sanitation, all of this, are not passing that information down. So one of the most interesting places to kind of start for everybody here. Anybody gargled with salt water ever? Yeah, been in the ocean, choked on a little bit. Maybe kind of that's the only experience you might have. So you are doing one of the simplest cleansing practices that you could possibly do by just adding a little bit of salt to water. You're using it as a way because most bacteria that like the human body don't like being in a very high salt environment. So it's kind of wonderful when we use it for a cleansing technique to get into the body and be able to actually see some overall benefits. They make now salt pools and spas that actually keep the water extremely clean without a lot of chemicals in the system because the salt water doesn't allow standard algae and things of that nature to grow. Um, so it's unique because this is one of those where we are going to kind of step through and understand that that's as simple as it has to be. You can eliminate the necessity for very high alcohol content and extreme chemical laden mouthwashes, rinses, and things of that nature. So we really want people to, I guess, sort of see that this is very simplistic, easy for everybody to do, no scary sort of problems. And there is so much more to kind of go along with that as well. Um, so salt is a great base. It's a great material to kind of start understanding. The right types of salt are unique because we've already talked about the use of getting this back into the skin and letting this be part of the process for healing a person is letting magnesium be topically applied. Inside the magnesium, we have a little bit of lavender in order to be very cooling, calming, and using the essential oil properties of that particular plant in order to let it be relaxing for the person. Um, so with essential oils and using these cleansing techniques, it's unique because we can find the best bet. Maybe you are actually a person who's trying to get rid of some of the toxic compounds, but you still like that cleansing, clean scent of lemon. Well, you can use a lemon essential oil. You can add in an actual very nice, and make it as pine solly as you want it to be with a little bit of fir needle, a little bit of lemon, melaleuca, and allow for it to actually have a scent or flavor to where you can say, oh yeah, I cleaned and I can smell it. That's the unique thing about walking into a new environment and saying, is this place clean or not? When you walk in and you smell that nice refreshing scent, then that's a great way of indicating, hey, this area has something taking care of it. But it's a powerful sort of piece to understand that just the few particulates in the air that allow you to sniff and smell something when put onto the skin actually become a little bit of a different way of utilizing material. So the one biggest cautionary piece to tonight's talk is that essential oils are extremely concentrated medicines, which means the first rule, no matter what out there, is dilution, dilution, dilution. So the use of essential oils neatly or without a carrier oil or in a liquid or in some other form or function is something that I would just let everybody know. It's a process to get used to and comfortable with these materials to where you can kind of feel that you know what you're doing without stressing the body. Even though essential oils are extremely clean and pure, it's unique because they can still be allergenic. You don't know about your body yet how you'll respond to an extreme concentration of some of these plants. And it is unique because we have to sort of go through the details of understanding that when you're taking a little bit of lemon essential oil, one drop, that concentration is the same as if you would actually take about 40 pounds of lemon peel and squish it into one spot. So when it comes to using even just lemon on the skin in order to do sunlightening and material, you can bleach your hair with lemon essential oil. It will strip colors very, very effectively. The citric acid is extremely concentrated. And that's where it's very unique in just a sort of understanding for people. They'll use lotions and different sort of creams, not realizing that there's grapefruit or lemon or something, and they're allergic to citrus. So they'll see a reaction and go, hey, I've got this natural cleaning product or this natural cosmetic product. I don't understand how I'm getting this reaction. It's because of the concentrations. Yes?
Are all essential oils of good quality grade?
No, not at all. So the biggest piece of this to understand is that, because I knew this was going to be probably the first sort of equation, first question that comes in. Here's the difference. The essential oil that I have here on my left-hand side is actually a tea tree, Melaleuca. So this is just pressed tea tree oil that's come out of the leaves of the tea tree. No one's put this through any level of testing, so this is not something that I would eat. It's not something that I would wipe on my skin. What I use this for is air purification. So when it goes into a diffuser or into some sort of steam humidifier, it's fantastic because it really lights up the room and it allows for the actual scent of clean to be a part of the whole process. So when you understand that, that means that this you can't tell in the smell of it. So if you want to pass that and just be very careful, you can get a scent of what's occurring here. It's extremely strong and potent. You might never really know that there's any difference about it. And if I put it in the same looking labeled bottle, then you might actually go, yeah, there's no difference here. There's an extreme difference. This is, again, a company that they're not going through the extra steps in processing versus when it comes to somebody who actually does the triple checking of the actual essential oils. When it comes to purification and testing for essential oils, you want it to go through a 3-style testing. That's gas chromatograph, uh, chromatograph, yep,
doTERRA does that.
correct. You want it to have it be a vaporization or volatile testing, to where they'll actually have a vaporizer go through and see if there's any off gassing of any other solvents or any other compounds. And then photoionization is the other third test, and that's one that actually does the strength or the integrity of the oil. So when it goes through the process, now it's unique because the actual testing system, those three are the way that you certify that there's actually the compounds that you're looking for inside the oil. So if you're, say, picking up like tea tree, that it actually has the what's called a eucalyptol. And eucalyptol is a very particular compound inside tea tree that actually is found in eucalyptus, spearmint, peppermint, a lot of other different plants. But it's unique because it has to show and to be proved. The gas chromatograph or chromatograph is the one that actually tells us what the compounds are that are inside there. So if they have a compound breakdown, that means they've at least gone through that first identification process. The vaporization technique is the one that actually tells us if they used any heavy chemical solvents in the process of pulling the material, the medicine, out of the plants and doing the steam distillation or anything. If they adulterated it at all, then the vaporization technique will show a positive hit as having other compounds in there besides the essential oil. The photoionization, again, is one of those that you can test the integrity. So this is the process. We want all three tests. Most good companies will do two, gas chromatograph and vaporization test. Um, the photoionization test is somebody who does go through the last step of just making sure that the overall quality of the oil, so you know what it is, you know that it's actually not have anything that's going to cause problems or damage, but the last part is that it's actually going to hold up and stay what it's supposed to be for a long time. So it's interesting. There's tons of opportunities out there. There's a very myriad of companies. The unique thing is we're not even here tonight to go on the idea of a company, but it is one of those where don't just trust a label. That's the biggest piece in this. Marketing will literally tear a company apart, because a lot of times there is so much energy put into just getting a product on the shelves, in people's hands, bought as much as possible. And that's where, if you follow the history behind some of the essential oils company, you had adulterations occurring, and yet they just stopped testing. So they just didn't tell anybody. it's definitely one of those that you've got to just go through that process for yourself. It's a big piece in this. Once you have confidence in a company, talk to the people who are in charge. Check their tests. And again, you can ask for them. It's really not that hard, and it does help the whole process of just knowing that you're doing something that's very healthy for yourself. So it's unique because each of the essential oils actually contains certain plant compounds, and those plant compounds are what actually affect or work with the human body. We have on the outside of all of our cells sensors that actually pick up on these individual little compounds. So in the presence of a certain plant, and especially when it comes to a concentration level of essential oils, that your cells respond in a certain way. So it's unique because we can actually see essential oils like frankincense work as an actual what they call a desmophage. Very interesting, kind of fun word. What it means is that you actually will stop trembling. If you actually have a lot of hand tremors, eye tremors, muscle spasms, things of that, so it's causing a relaxation. There can be things that are more like hemorrhaphages, which are actually fantastic for stopping bleeding, like helichrysum. You can actually start looking at material that just works as a basic antidepressant. So you can get things that are more elevating to mood. They're working on a psychological side, things like Melissa. And you get a lot of things that actually can create more overall energy to the metabolites. They can actually help you urinate better, use the restroom more frequently, balance skin pH, things of that nature. They all have their own process in what they're doing. And it's unique because I would say for most people, start with about 5 essential oils and figure them out the best way you can, and then step from there. Never bite off more than you can chew. The starter pack might come at a great deal and it's 25 oils, and you think, oh, yeah, this is fantastic, and you'll find that you'll use 2, and then you don't know anything about the rest of them, and you kind of just are lost. Start with them and use them routinely. That's why we kind of went through a little bit of a selection this evening to kind of just the ones I think people would use on a routine basis, know a little bit about, and therefore feel very comfortable with. The only one I didn't bring this evening that I think everybody's kind of utilized is lavender. And lavender's, again, very wonderful for the most part, but any boy underneath of 6 years old is something that actually can set them on an estrogenic issue. So be careful when it comes to pregnant mothers and their overexposure, especially to lavender. So it is one of those that it can be something that we don't want messing with hormones, because it is a medicine, and especially in high concentrations. Yes.
Is there any truth to this rumor that we should not diffuse essential oils for longer than 7 minutes at a time?
7 minutes. No, there's no truth to it. There can be an effectiveness concept towards the idea of maybe it's most effective 7 minutes after you actually start utilizing it. But the idea is that if you have a diffuser that's not ultrasonic and it's using any kind of heating methods or anything of that nature, that would be the only reason why you wouldn't want a time duration for the exposure of the essential oils. So 7 minutes, I mean, really, that's the idea that you could start it up, turn it off. It sounds like a really fancy machine that probably does that. So it'd be a great marketing ploy to actually say only 7 minutes. And by the way, here's the machine that does only 7 minutes. Great.
They promoted it like if you have that scent or aroma for a long period of time, you're kind of defeating your purpose because you are, in effect, just becoming used to it.
Correct.
Not doing
Well, you're not
anything.
sensing it because your senses have adjusted. So the unique thing is, yes, variety is wonderful, but your body goes through dramatic changes every time you smell something different. So do you really want to be on an emotional roller coaster incited by essential oils? Not me. Again, this is unique because what we find in history, of course, always goes back to the idea that when the Black Plague was going through Northern Europe, they would just literally pile fir branches in the middle of the town square and set them on fire. Very simplistic way of doing essential oils. The smoke would be full with the actual pine tar, and that tar would go through the town in the areas where you would be closest to these fires. Very few people were sick. they started to understand that there's something to this process. Um, it's unique too that we go through, understanding that the materials in essential oils, although we may not have scientifically known what they were, what they did, we've gone through a very long testing process of understanding how they affect human bodies. And there is still some variance. So 7 minute rule, I don't know. That doesn't sound. It sounds like a really good way of buying a lot of oil and a really expensive machine. Just because if you now walking out of the room and then walking back in, you might smell it again and it'll be there. But that's what your nose does. If you didn't get accustomed to scents, you literally would probably drive yourself insane. Because if the scent wasn't, if it was pervasive, your brain would just keep firing the same way every single time, no matter what, without turning off. And if you go into a restroom area and you notice that there was somebody there before you, that would drive you insane if you couldn't get rid of that smell. So the idea is be happy that it's only a few seconds where you're like, hey, that's weird. And then I don't even notice it anymore. Okay, fine. Today we've got a little bit of, Mike, what was that beginning blend that you did? Peppermint lavender.
And I can still smell it.
Yeah, it's good. Kind of does that nice thing. Again, it's one of those where diffusing, when it comes to essential oils, is the simplest form of medicine. You're getting a few molecules of the actual oil floating in the air, as you're sucking the air in, and it's being sensed inside the olfactory system, and that's it. Just a few little bits, and the idea is it can, do more mood balance. Again, talk to a lot of people, and the idea of using oils as medicine. The first form of oils as medicine is actually tenting and putting just the diffused material into only your body, smelling on top of a nice warmed pot of water to where you're getting all of that actual medicine. You're getting a volume of it that's large enough. Still not direct contact. It is inside the nose and inside the esophagus, but it's not using the oil in a way to where it's coming directly on top of you. So it's unique because we're going through, this whole understanding for ourselves. So I'm one who actually loves, and I'm so happy that we figured this out, literally almost we're now going on 1,300 years ago. Hydrogen peroxide. Fantastic cleanser. This is the reason why when you walk into a hospital, you don't smell anything. And when you realize that you're like, yeah, you're right. You walk directly into a hospital and you usually don't smell a thing. It's because they're cleaning with hydrogen peroxide. No scent, but one of the fastest antimicrobial agents you can have in terms of hyperoxygenation. Again, cleansing with hydrogen peroxide is a fantastic way of getting all surfaces clean and free of any microbe. The only thing that can sometimes withstand hydrogen peroxide is extremophiles and the spores that come off of them. So if you by chance are playing around with a meteorite, there's a chance that when you dust a little bit of that material that it will survive and it will not be killed by hydrogen peroxide. It's one of the only few ways that it kind of works. Of course. Wash. Of course. So the big thing is to understand when it comes to hydrogen peroxide is that the 3% brown bottle stuff should never go in your body. Never. Everybody does it. I know. We've kind of trusted the whole things. The original creation of the 3% hydrogen peroxide solution was actually meant for electronics cleaning, not for, it's mainly industrial use. The quality is something that actually, again, there's a lot of other compounds to stabilize the hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide, when it's actually done in just a very pure form, about a month or so, and it starts to dissipate. It all actually oxygenates through. All of the H2O2 turns back to H2O, and you don't have hydrogen peroxide anymore. Shouldn't. Correct. Shouldn't. Everyone's probably going to do it because it's easy. 35% hydrogen peroxide is the actual standard household use peroxide that you can find at any spa or pool store typically as a shocking agent whenever you get an algae compound that you put inside a body of water. So 35% is fantastic because you can dilute it down. 1 ounce of 35% to 10 ounces of water will give you 3.5 molar solution. So keep that So a 10-to-1 ratio gets you back to the same stuff that's in the brown bottle. Hydrogen peroxide. Yes. Cut grease. Yes, because it breaks down organic compounds, but it is not as effective as sapronils, which are what soap is made of breaking up oil compounds. So not bad, but probably not going to be the style that you would just spray inside your oven and have all of the nastiness just drop down and be done with it, wipe it out really simple and easy. It does help break a lot of things up, especially carbon compounds and things of that nature by oxygenating them. Problem with oil is one, it soaks into fibers. Two, the different oils, when they bind to the fibers, you have to find a way of getting the material out of the fiber. Silk's extremely hard with oil because there's such fine fibers that you really destroy the garment trying to clean. Heating and really good soap, really heavy soap is actually the stronger way, but it has to be done very quickly. The longer it sits in, the longer it's going to stay there.
So where did you get the
Hold on. Ultrasonic? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because you're technically vibrating the oil off of the fiber. Yeah, that's nice.
Where do you get this nitrogen?
So, again, the best thing to do is to actually order it online. It comes with a caution. You can't order it, like I can't technically ship it because it's technically an oxidizing compound. It runs a Schedule 8 DOT caution, so shipping it to other people is not a good idea. Plus, anytime you have pressurization and hydrogen peroxide, so when it goes into a plane and comes back down, it literally bursts. So it's unique though because again, it's just one of the strongest cleansers and one of the only reasons I think that since I had children that I got into a condition where we just don't get sick much at all. All of the norovirus, notovirus, rhinovirus, all of those compounds that stay on a surface, they just die. It's great.
So when you're online and you're trying to get this, what are you looking for?
35% hydrogen peroxide. Oh no! Clean up on aisle 3. Luckily, we got hydrogen peroxide. Hey, Mike, let me. Can we grab a towel? See, a little bit of this.
Are you going to tell us what the 5 essential oils are?
Oh, do you have like a? Oh, good. Yeah.
Are you going to recommend the 5 essential oils that we should start with?
You can.
Just any 5 we want.
Any 5 you want, definitely. If you kind of already have an introduction to a few, then just know them. That's the difference. Don't take someone else's word for it. Don't just use them because they're simple or easy. But the idea is I love starting off with lavender, peppermint, cinnamon, orange, and then some kind of blend of either those or something unique that's a little bit more lavender, peppermint, cinnamon, orange, or lemon. Any of those are fantastic. And it just depends on what you're using them for. That's the other thing and good piece of this. Start with the problem and find the oil that works with that problem. And that way you can actually see the direct connection on what it kind of does and how it starts working for the body.
What's wrong with bleach? Because I clean with bleach on the
Oh, no. Chloride kills your thyroid. Chloride destroys your kidneys. Chloride takes away all of your energy. Again, chloride compound, although nice, was originally meant to be used in industrial settings only. The fact that Clorox came up with a use it at home sort of version of bleach is kind of sad because again, 60 years ago, everybody knew bleach was something that you actually stayed this far away from at all times. And you would always wipe after bleach. You would never just put bleach on a surface and then walk away. You would actually have to clean twice, which is sometimes very annoying. And so people just leave it on and they go, it'll be fine. So that helps. And bleach is really meant in extreme situations. Thank you, Mike. To be something to where you can actually use it as, I know there's an infectious agent in this particular area. When you have white towels and the idea is, then the idea is but do it with the bleach, then do another rinse cycle. And the nice thing is you don't have to rely on bleach because that's what they associate bleach with clean. But when you start using things like hydrogen peroxide, you go, wait a minute, more clean, less damage. So that's the beauty of the actual nature. Big caution with the hydrogen peroxide is at 35%. Luckily, this is diluted. No, extremely caustic. It actually will burn your skin. So the 35% is something where you don't use it in full strength, unless you'd like to be missing a couple layers of skin. Or burn a mole off, correct.
So is 3% good for disinfecting surfaces?
Any presence, really. 1% is perfect. When you're getting 35%, just remember that equation. 1 ounce of the liquid, that's a 35% hydrogen peroxide, 10 ounces of water.
So let's say we get the 3%.
Mm-hmm.
How would you do that one?
Well, it's already mixed. And everything else is in there too. So that's where the big thing is, to try to actually make it to where you're getting pure material and starting from there.
When I buy it in drugstores, I'm getting 3%.
Correct. Correct.
But he's saying
35%.
He's saying there's other stuff in there with a 3%.
And yeah, so like I say, that's where, again, this is a 7. This is actually a 7%. So I didn't take it all the way down to 3, but you can literally clean your hands with it. Perfectly fine for full disinfection. Use it to clean dishes. Use it to clean anything you eat off of. Rinse your vegetables with it. You don't want to get it on your actual clothing because it will still start staining. But it's unique too.
Lighten your hair.
Oh, it will lighten your hair. This has just a very simple, what we call purify. It's a variation of essential oils. It's a very clean smell. Oil of thieves, which I don't know if anybody knows about oil of thieves, but
Oh my God.
Come here, Phil. Come on.
One time I did it in a closed environment.
So I like to actually, again, smell clean. So, Mike, I really apologize that you can't smell through the conference line, but it smells delicious. It smells extremely clean, very clinical.
Lick your hand.
No, not that much.
Question?
So this is just one of my own household little blends. So it's actually a compound that's mixing cinnamon clove, 2 really good high-level antioxidants and antimicrobial, antifungals, lemon. You're doing rosemary and a little bit of tea tree and melissa.
And these are oils.
These are oils that are put into the hydrogen peroxide. So that way I can still clean with my material,
Okay,
but
how many drops per?
so this thing is a 32-ounce sprayer. I probably put 30 drops in there.
Of each or?
No, of the mixture.
Of the mixture.
So I blend the mixture and then I'll put that in there. But like I say, that's one of those where we're moving into the idea of utilizing essential oils in the home and finding nice ways of cleaning. Mike, always feel free just to speak up and let me know if there's anything I'm saying or any clarifications or good questions.
Before we go on, what kind of salt did you use? You got back to the salt.
Say that one more time. Correct. So the company that I enjoy is called Essential 3. So he was asking about the actual company that I utilize for the oils here. Again, one of the few that go through all 3 processes for purification, but no markup. So it's just the thing that essentially always got to me. But essential3.com is, and that 3 is spelled out THREE, in order to kind of see the product line there. So back to you.
What kind of salt do you use?
4.
Where you were talking about salt at the beginning and then you jumped into oils, but
Correct.
before I forget, there's all kinds of salt.
The cheapest you can find. But the idea is that means you can clean with Morton's. You can use it to kill weeds. You can keep your garden safe by keeping slugs off of everything with salt. It's a great way to keep your cat at bay if you don't like your cat. Oh, they hate being sprayed with salt water.
It's not the one that's iodine.
No, I wouldn't use. I mean, again, I wouldn't give any more money at all to Morton's if I ever had my choice. But that's just one of those. It's just the idea of, again, any bulk salt, not the high end sort of going to use it on your foods and salads and salmon and all of that wonderful stuff, but more of the idea of like just something that you have. And again, I think every so often, yeah, this is what TJ Maxx, $2, and so salt's fun. It's a good cleanser.
Thank you.
I wasn't clear on if we get the brown bottle of hydrogen peroxide from the store, how much should I dilute that?
Nope, that's diluted.
So I still don't use it on that?
I wouldn't.
Is that a different hydrogen peroxide?
Mm-hmm.
Or just a different amount?
Different. It's stronger. 10 times more concentrated when it's diluted. Yes. You can make your own. That's what we're doing here. That's where we're going. 1 ounce of solution to 10 ounces of liquid.
Again, the important part of it is the pre-mixed
Correct.
brown bottle contains
Other compounds.
That are not necessarily
Correct.
desirable.
Correct. Because again, when you're making your own, it's just water and peroxide. Fantastic. When you're actually buying the stuff that's in the brown bottle, there's stabilizers in there. There's chemical adulterants that actually create the overall ability. Otherwise, again, the peroxide would only be able to be on the shelves for a couple months, and then they would actually expire. And it's just, again, understanding the FDA, they just need to find places to shove as much industrial toxic compounds into anywhere they possibly can to get rid of them. So that's the process.
That doesn't have a shelf life?
It does. It does. That's why you make it 1 bottle at a time. So I actually had to bring
But I'm talking about the big bottle.
the big bottle at 35% does, but let's take it by, if you increase the concentration by 10, then the shelf life is that much longer. So, and you can buy peroxide all the way up to 55-gallon drums. If you're using that much of it. If you're a pool cleaner, spa cleaner, and you start using peroxide, 1, warn your client. 2, it will actually really improve the overall longevity of the water itself to make it to where you don't have to change it, shock it, put chlorine, and do all those other things as routinely. And again, hydrogen peroxide on the outside of the skin is one of the fastest and best ways of starting to remove potential cancers, all the different types of growths that sit on the skin. Anybody who's actually experiencing any kind of candida overgrowth, general psoriasis, things of that nature. As long as it's not too bad in terms of the cracking, because you will get the bubbling reaction that occurs whenever peroxide, but it's cleansing all of the bacterium that are causing any kind of issue on top of the skin surface. So I bathe in 1 cup of hydrogen peroxide into a tub and hop in, and again, it's just very light bubbling, very effervescent sort of sensation. It does a fantastic job at cleaning. I'll run with a salt scrub with some coconut oil afterwards in order to actually kind of just brush everything off and get all the dermis moving. So tons of fun. So who's a science person in here? No, you're a science person. Essential 3.
No, for the hydrogen peroxide?
There's a lot of different people out there. The biggest thing you want to just make sure is that they have a certification seal that says that they'll not do 30. They will not be making their own 35% out of 100. Again, you don't want anyone else mixing your 35%. You just want them giving you 35% hydrogen peroxide to where it's 35% hydrogen peroxide and water. That's all you want. Nothing else to it. So if they've certified that they have just pure hydrogen peroxide, 35% grade, then that's the big. They call it a food grade because butchers use it to clean all of their instruments as they're actually doing most of the food processing and handling. So food grade is a way of kind of, and then the best website, I think they're still active, is called Guardians of Eden.
Oh, yeah.
If you find them, And they'll let you buy it in everything from the little 8-ounce bottles all the way up to 55 gallons. So fantastic compound to start using to start cleaning routinely. So ever have a clogged drain?
Yes.
You ever use Drano?
Yes.
Why?
Because it works. Because she uses bleach.
Because she uses bleach.
I do. I love it.
You'll eventually get past it. Once, if you want a healthy thyroid, you won't use it anymore. Enzymes, sometimes they don't get it right. So, dry pack of baking soda in a drain. All the reaction you need. No crazy harmful chemicals. This is baking soda just tossed into the drain. Again, if you're good about it, you'll start doing this just every 2-3 weeks. Even the sink you only brush your teeth in front of still has junk and grime and material in there that just stays in an interesting reaction. So you can just toss in. Believe it or not, one of the things I also do with this is about a half a cup of baking soda, and it goes right into the toilet bowl. And then you just wait a couple seconds. It slowly kind of dissolves, and as it's dissolving, you splash it with the vinegar, and the vinegar reaction will literally clean the entire bowl. No scrubbing, no anything. Just make everything happy and wonderful.
Back in the 70s,
fireworks.
You'd sell these candles.
Oh yeah.
And it was baking soda and vinegar in a chamber, suddenly released to make a bang.
Bang. That's exactly right. So it's
you just poured water in there.
This is vinegar.
Oh, vinegar.
So vinegar and baking soda is the easy, do-it-yourself, no mess, no fuss Drano. So
and
again,
toilet cleaner.
Yeah, well, no, it took again. So it's very helpful, and it's funny because this compound here, it's used all the vinegar. It hasn't used all the baking soda. So this actually should.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. That bubbling heavy reaction will do a lot of great function for a long time. And that's where it's unique too. This will help a lot of men in the garage. It does help clean car parts. This is actually an oil lifter, but I wouldn't use it on any of your clothes. So that's one of these unique things. I'm not a big happy-go-lucky vinegar smell person when I come to the house. I love fish and chips. I think that's fantastic, but when it comes to walking in your house and literally having the whole thing smell like a, tanning, old style leather tanning yard, no, not cool. But it's good for emergencies. It's good for things like this. It can save you literally $685, which was the quote I got Christmas Eve when our garbage disposal took a complete dump for some reason at that moment. And it took just a quarter cup of baking soda in a solution, poured in, and then the vinegar on top. It was not moving. I had to take the whole thing apart, and I put it back together. I thought it was clean, and there was just something in there that was gummed up. And it just needed a little bit of a good little bubble reaction in order to create a nice function. So this is fun. It's interesting, but it is one of those to where, like I say, don't let your kids. Let your kids play with it. It is a lot of fun. Just don't let them put it in their mouth. It's not good. So, Mike, if you go into the fridge right there, middle section, there's those 2 containers I was playing with before we started. Yeah. And if you grab the sample spoons. Do we have sample spoons?
Yeah. You have this vinegar and baking soda.
So, oral health is the thing that makes most people suck in more toxic compounds than really anything else that I could possibly imagine when it comes to, even again, a lot of people will wear gloves and use bleach. They at least understand that they're using bleach, they try to wear gloves. No, I don't think so.
Just vomit on the floor.
No vomiting.
I have more towels.
I have more towels, which we will clean
Never
with.
sit in the front seat.
It's like
No.
or shampoo and seaweed. You're in the splash zone.
You are in the splash zone. So.
Am I passing this around?
Mm-hmm.
Is that called oiling when you oil your teeth? You know, are you supposed to keep that oil in your mouth for like? I tried it. I almost died.
What are we doing? Where they're rinsing with it?
Rinsing.
I gagged with it.
Rinsing.
And then you want them to swallow it?
Mm-mm.
No. How much? Like a spoonful?
Just a little bit.
Yes. You probably don't want to.
I've done it. I'm gonna get
I had mine this morning.
Oops. Nope. Oh, sorry. It'll wash up.
With a little honey
Okay.
peroxide.
Yeah.
How long are you supposed to do that?
20 minutes to burn my mouth.
What's
Oh
this?
my goodness.
It's cooking oil what?
Orange and cinnamon.
It's like Christmas. In your mouth. You okay?
No, I did mine this morning.
20 minutes. Ours just went 20 minutes with it.
Coconut oil. You okay?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see. Well, tell me.
Either oil. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Make some more spins.
As your instructor, whenever you're ready to spit, just here's your bucket.
I left my spittoon at home.
I know.
What is that called?
That's oil pulling.
Yeah, oil pulling.
Yeah.
So, a very healthy practice. Definitely something to consider. The reason you do it for so long is the oil actually starts sucking up toxic compounds that normally your body doesn't release because it needs to be a fat soluble system. So when you're
Like 20 minutes?
15, 16, I've got a few people saying that anything over 16 minutes and some of the actual toxins can be so concentrated in the oil that they'll start
I've
reabsorbing.
heard it, yeah, it takes 15 minutes before it even really starts.
And that's where
30 minutes.
I've heard 7.5. It's still a thing.
Get out and do it again? Like right now?
Not truthfully, because what ends up actually happening is it's that particular oil in the contact with it for the duration. So once you stop and you no longer have it in there swishing, the material inside the blood will reduce back. The reason every day, and even if you are just starting like a practice of it, do it for 10 days, 30 days, see how you feel. People literally have healed IBS. People have gotten rid of Crohn's disease. People have taken their actual blood volumes and heavy metal toxicity and actually improved their overall counts from heavy metal poisoning. So it's an amazing, amazing practice.
So I don't have to do it for 20 minutes. I've been doing it for 20 minutes.
20 minutes is great.
Which is long.
15 to 16 minutes is kind of where we see the sort of like, that's where I get the most concurrence, to where it at least has to be 7. At about 15 or 16, something very different happens inside our bodies. 20 minutes is that way of saying, trying to just, I mean, again, it's a practice that you get better at and you get used to it. You start doing it to where you're just walking out the bathroom after you've got everything else done. You throw the oil in there and you're literally just downstairs going, okay, what was I thinking? Some people can't swish and think. So the funny thing is they just end up walking in circles, and that's perfectly fine too. You start breathing through your, and again, it's just one of those where, go ahead.
I've done it for 4 months. And the week for 6 like the gums something. I received gums with a lot of pain that went totally away. I've been trying my sinus problems go away totally. My brain's going a lot better. And I just can't go on and on.
Yeah. So the funny thing though is never spit it in the sink. Otherwise, you're gonna have to use the instant Drano because it will actually clog up the sink once it gets hard. So when I melted these, a few. Yep.
Sample this one too?
Oh yeah. So you get the choices and the opportunities of seeing which your type of person you might be.
What's this one?
You'll see.
It's like it's a mystery.
I tried this without any oil in it. It is gross. But this, at least you can
Mm-hmm.
put it in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
When you're like doubling your benefits.
So
You get the oil plus
So
there's
you-
the
Yeah.
you're putting drops in there,
Mm-hmm.
drops of oil.
Mm-hmm.
My doctor
Peppermint?
wanted me to do it first thing in the morning as soon as I got up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best time.
Joe, do you ever do a little bit of baking soda in your oil when you oil pull?
Mm-hmm.
Like a pinch?
And zeolite.
Yeah. Those are good additives. You have to go easy on baking soda though, so you don't like burn your gums.
But it's good to just eat coconut oil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. You want to try the second one? Yes. You got it first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you're done pulling, how do you get the oil in the coconut oil? When the coconut oil is part of the roll.
Mm-hmm. So just like I did before this class started, when you are picking up your coconut oil, what I've started doing at my house is that I immediately take this in before I do anything, and I set it right on the actual top of the stove. So the next time I cook something, the oil goes liquid, and that's when I go, oh yeah, that's right, I've got to put my oils in my, oils in my oil. And so, like I say, anybody need the bucket, just, put your hands up, let me know.
And it's okay to ingest essential oil.
It is okay to ingest essential oils, certain ones for certain people, and never because you just now found out about it. You don't know what you're allergic to, and especially in the concentrations, you just don't know how your body's going to react. So always go back to that cautionary tale of putting something that's brand new to you right on the front of your lip in order to see if, hey, do I have a reaction to something like what's that really weird one, bergamot. Like you've only ever seen it in candles, but the unique thing is you can use it on the inside as actually a way of decreasing blood pressure. So there is a benefit to it. Bergamot. Mm-hmm.
From tea, right?
It
Flavor?
is. Mm-hmm. It's unique
That
because
Earl Grey flavor?
yep, and it actually has a fantastic quality as being a very good relaxing material, which is probably why all the British people love tea time, because they've got a very high concentration of this in their culture system. So it's unique because this process is just one of those where a lot of people say all okay because it's all natural. That's not true. You got to be protective of yourself. You got to look at how these materials kind of go into the body. Again, I try to start people off with things that are generally safe, generally recognized as not having any issues, but in concentration they can be very damaging. So the unique thing is that a lot of people love using like oregano oil as a really good antimicrobial material. And the nice thing about oregano is that it does work very effective through the skin. Everybody else spit. No more. Oh, you're still going? No, go ahead. Spit. We're all friends here.
No, I know. That's not it. It's just that
I gotta tell you something about oregano. We've been doing doTERRA for a while now.
Uh-huh.
And the gal that introduced us to it was telling us about how it really helps a sore throat. My husband had a sore throat. And he put one drop in warm water with Himalayan salt. Gargled with it. The next day he had nothing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's fantastic. Yeah. Again, dilution. One drop.
So it was 8 ounces of water.
Yeah, fantastic. Right way to go. Sad story be true. There was an individual who was experiencing Hep C infection in the liver, hepatitis C. So he heard that oregano actually kills viruses. So he thought, I'll start eating oregano. He ended up consuming probably close to about 50 to 60 milliliters of oregano oil, and it killed his liver. So he went from got a bad functioning liver because I've got Hep C to no liver, all because of the essential oil. So be very careful and cautious. Aromatherapists, yes. And again, it's just well, and you got to trust your aromatherapist too, because I know aromatherapists who are like, oh yeah, I love clary sage. Clary sage will literally cause you to go blind. So you just got to be very careful. There's a process in this and understanding. Like I say, it's very unique. There's actually two types of mushroom essential oils that the typical time that you are alive to work with this particular essential oil is about 6 or 7 years. Someone always has an accident and eventually kills themselves. So very interesting, what they call the black-hooded monk mushroom. And so people, use these really innate, very unique essential oils, and we only get to hear and use kind of a very simplistic round of them, even if you are on the website. And that's why start off with what you know. Same thing like when it goes to anything. It's just start slow, be happy. The oil pulling, again, is a fantastic way of just dropping your toothpaste tonight. No more toothpaste. You don't need it. It's not good. Colgate does not make a smile good. Everything about that company is destructive. It kills your thyroid. It kills the inside of your teeth. It makes it to where you have to go to the dentist more. You have fluoridosis actually starting to occur. Again, it's one of those things where I'll be talking in March for a group in LA. The amount of fluoride in the public water system in one 8-ounce bottle is the same concentration as the pea size that you put on top of your toothbrush. And somehow, if you swallow this, you're supposed to call the poison control agency to learn how to flush it out of the body. And yet, every day, out of a tap, no one says a word. So there is a huge issue that's going on there. That's where get it out of there. You don't need it. There is natural fluoride in spring water and shilajit in most plants that your body will absorb enough. It's very rarely a fluoride issue that's causing cavities. It's usually vitamin D, magnesium, silica, sulfur, all the other essential minerals getting back into the body. But that's very fun, very interesting, very unique. Oil pulling by itself, just a big wad of oil, it's tough because your body doesn't get to focus on anything. But a few drops of essential oils, and for a large container like this, it's only 10 or 12 drops. So when I did the cinnamon one, that was in that quarter size there, 3 drops of cinnamon, 2 drops of orange, and inside this one, I think I did 4 drops of peppermint for the half size. So you don't need a lot. I mean, and again, it was very refreshing. But it's one of those where no more mouthwashes. Listerine, horrible company, horrible concept. Soaking your teeth in alcohol is, when you look at an alcoholic, that's what happens. That's not a good dental practice. And again, most of them are so stinking sugary with sucralose and things of that nature, and you're just coating your teeth with them. So no wonder why we end up having receding gum lines and issues like that, versus really healthy oils, natural essential oils, brushing. Not that you don't have to brush them. You still have to physically get some stuff off there. But it will actually not allow for things to stick to your teeth as much. And the whitening process is amazing because most of that is fat-soluble toxin. So the body's holding on to compounds that stain to the pulp of the tooth under the enamel. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Helps, it reduces that, because it can't hold on to the tooth surface anymore. It's slippery. You're getting oils all the time. Brush after. Drink a little warm water if you have to. Rinse with something like that after. If you baking soda is fantastic. I kind of do everything. I brush with iodine, with colloidal silver. I brush with baking soda, peroxide, everything, anything. All those are fantastic, and again, healthy because no toothpaste. No.
Do you do it more than once a day?
No. Again, chloride, if you don't like bleach, fluoride is actually 10 times more toxic than chloride. So if it's fluoride free, then sure, just check to see what they're mixing with the paste. And you can do it yourself. Again, this coconut oil base here is really nice, but you can add zeolite powder, clay mud, you can add shilajit, you can add turmeric. Pretty awesome. Definitely whitens the teeth very effectively, reduces inflammation in the gums. If you're a person who gets a lot of mouth sores routinely, start with the oil pulling, build up to start using turmeric material in there. Magnesium salt can be a part of that process as well too. Start nutrifying the inside of your mouth instead of pulling everything out. That's probably why you're getting an issue. So iodine as a cleanser, yes, it still works. Use it. One of the biggest things for me when it comes to teaching my survival classes is actually that you can put 15 drops of pure iodine in half a gallon of water and let it sit for 12 hours. And it will kill all microbes that are inside the water. If you're eating or drinking in an area, in an environment where you're actually not so sure that you should be drinking the water, treat it with that. What's that? Half a gallon, 15 drops, half a gallon. And you can do the same thing with hydrogen peroxide. You can put in an ounce of hydrogen peroxide in half a gallon, and it'll actually clean and oxygenate the water to where you won't be getting any of the microbes and spores and things of that nature, the stuff that's infectious to the human body. Anybody in here ever run the hydrogen peroxide therapy? Did you ever do that? No? No? Hydrogen peroxide therapy? That's, yeah, exactly. Correct. Okay, so good. So some people have done it. So, like we say, the hydrogen peroxide at 35% will literally eat right through your skin. Don't put it on your body. Definitely don't drink it. But you can start what's called hydrogen peroxide therapy, and I highly recommend you reading the Peroxide Miracle book first, just to kind of understand it. It's like 40 pages, so you can get it done in an hour. Even read really slow. But it's one of those where when it comes to blood oxygenation, when it comes to eating antioxidants, there is nothing stronger. Again, hydrate, mega hydrate talks about being stronger just because of the measurement value, but there's nothing more safe, natural, and stronger for oxygenating the blood than hydrogen peroxide. The unique thing is you just need to reduce the concentration down. And the hydrogen peroxide therapy talks how to work your body through that process to where you can start. But when it comes to blood sepsis, when it comes to most of your infectious disease, if you are missing a thyroid or really, really low function thyroid, start on hydrogen peroxide therapy. It's fantastic for getting rid of anything that's in the blood that's not supposed to be there. And it can be a fantastic way of stabilizing the body. No, the therapy is to drink it. Mm-hmm. But only the 35%, not the brown bottle. It's a whole process. So if you want to know any more information, talk to me. I'll set you up. Otherwise, read the hydrogen peroxide or the peroxide solution, I think is what it's called. Maybe not the peroxide miracle. But it is definitely one of those where it's a ton of fun. Like I say, I love sharing all of these little tips and tricks and ways of actually. Is it still going? Yeah, it's still going. So it'll literally clean from, like, if you put this in the furthest sink away from your actual outlet, your connection to the street, it'll clean from the beginning of your sink all the way through your plumbing system. No snaking required. Well, maybe required if you've got roots, but it'll get rid of any of the gunk that's in there. So you can definitely see some good fun things going on here.
And then do you not have to put water down it for a while? Or?
Afterwards, yeah, you will rinse it. Yeah, just rinse it through.
Oh, okay.
But give it 15 minutes or so.
Oh, okay.
You can see how.
For about 15 minutes.
Correct.
Because you were saying that don't put the coconut oil down the sink.
Correct.
But I wash my face to get rid of my makeup with coconut oil.
Concentrations of coconut oil, probably just throw a whole bunch of hot water down afterwards. Yeah. It will eventually clog things up. And then when they call the plumber and they go, hey, put their take a little spoon of it. Hey, is this coconut oil? Good job. Yeah. Yeah. But no, it is a nice way of coconut oil cleanser, coconut oil, everything when it comes to doing the natural systems. Like I say, I would love to take any interesting or very crazy kind of cool questions. I know that tonight was a lot of information because again, it's just sad we don't have our people who used to do all of this themselves around to tell us how to do it anymore. So I had to research for 3 weeks in order to figure this out on a lot of these projects.
So do you have a good resource to review the different oils and their benefits?
Yes. I mean, again, there's nothing better than what's called the Bible of essential oils. Is actually the Guide to Essential Oils and Aromatherapy. Susan Carroll. Carroll. Carroll, I believe. Guide to Essential Oils and Aromatherapy.
Susan Carroll.
So you mean that's better than the Young Living Guide to Essential Oil?
Young Living talks about the oils that Young Living has. Susan Carroll is actually a wonderful teacher. Been working for a long time with essential oils and being an aromatherapist, and just taking it to a level to where anybody can start. And just sort of learn some of the steps and some of the bits in the process. The big thing is to use them in ways that you already are using other compounds and realize that you can come up with the best bits of these processes. Like I say, using cinnamon as a way of not just cleansing the teeth, but cinnamon does a fantastic job at actually getting rid of a lot of stomach ulcers because it will kill H. pylori. So when you start eating cinnamon, and especially concentrated cinnamon, be careful. You don't do this all at once, but if you're doing a couple drops in coffee, fantastic way of getting cinnamon without actually using it. Still doesn't take away the benefit of the actual nutrient and the antioxidant compounds and the material that comes away from eating cinnamon, but the essential oil will be more pervasive. It'll go through the body. So you can put a couple tablespoons of coconut oil in your coffee, a couple drops of cinnamon oil, and actually have that be a part of your routine. If you're experiencing a lot of stomach distress, or if you've been told directly you have an ulcer and you have that issue, peppermint oil is the same way. Peppermint oil has a very long history of being a digestive aid and being a really good antiviral, antimicrobial material. So I wanted to overload people with the information that's there in front of you tonight because it's going to take a while for you to actually get through it. And it's one of those where you can see how the process is of you going, well, I just thought orange oil was orange oil. Why would I think anything different? It does so many different things, and it really is just a beautiful compound for trying to go in and understanding how to use it on the routine basis.
I know people that have renewed skin tags.
Oh yeah.
With a drop of
oregano oil. Mm-hmm.
One drop.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Happens all the time. Yeah. So Mike, of course, I would love to open up to you, just if there's any questions or anything that you have directly for yourself. Uh-huh. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Mike's on the phone here, and of course online at the same time. So he was able to look, and the Guardian of Eden site says that the domain's up for sale. So in 2 weeks, it might be something different or not even accessible. So take a look at it. He says there is a link that'll move you to where you can actually pick up the material from another supplier. So these things happen. Just be very aware when you're buying. I'll go take a look at it myself because I've bought from them for years now. So I'll see what I can find out, and if there's any questions, just let me know. I'll try to help. Thank you very much. Which
one you get your essential oil?
It's called Essential 3. TH. Yep. Googly.
Yeah. It says to relieve rheumatoid arthritis symptoms, take 1 teaspoon honey with 200 milligrams of powdered.
Googly. Mm-hmm. No, we don't do googly by itself. It's in our a couple of our blends, but the Trafala blend has a googly in it. It's just another interesting herb that goes along with the absorption process and a lot of herbs. Fun, exciting, interesting, good stuff. We sometimes do from the dragon herbs, but it's pretty pricey. The idea is just to find a good honey supplier. Yes.
The book was called what? Essential oils and.
Guide to Essential Oils and Aromatherapy.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for joining this evening. Like I say, fantastic resource. Feel free to let me know if you have any more specific questions regarding your own use of essential oils, healthy home detox. It is one of those to where if there's anything we can do, like I say, to clean up our environment first, then we don't have to work so hard to detox our bodies. So enjoy. Thank you so much. Have a great night.